Okay, hello and welcome to our Makecode Arcade storytelling session. I am Nate Lott. I work with Edith Lando on developing digital content for teaching and for students, ranging from coding to game design to 3D design, 3D printing, microcontrollers, all things that kind of encompass technology and students and how we can use it in our world. So this session we are going through today will be around an hour and a half. We are going to do 3 sessions. And in the sessions, we're going to kind of work through from basics, which is knowing absolutely nothing, to working up to building out a kind of a full game interactive design process using an online code editor, and build our own artwork out and kind of learn how the editor works and hopefully give you some idea of how to develop your own game or interactive story or whatever you want. So it's kind of the scope and sequence of today is we're going to be looking at 2D pixel game design. The actual kind of base word for the work we're going to be doing is called a platformer. So a platformer kind of heralds back to the days of, I guess, even back to the days of like Super Mario style, moving sideways, kind of looking straight on. The kind of two style of games that generally we start with 3D, sorry, with a 2D game design is either like a top down, which I always call like a Zelda Quest style game, or a 2D platformer, which is a bit more, it's kind of a little bit more action oriented. So I thought we'd maybe start with a platformer, but this will be a little different because I kind of wanted to base it around maybe something a little bit on the educational side and storytelling side. So I was thinking maybe like a virus trying to enter the body, and then maybe some of the aspects that that virus deals with as like challenges, and then it tries to move through those different challenges, and we can like build some bosses out and stuff like that. So that should be pretty interesting to move through. So to get started, let me just flip my screen. All right, so first thing I want you to do is I want you to come into Google, just regular google.ca, and look up Makecode Arcade. And the first hit you will get will be Microsoft Makecode Arcade right here. It will be your first top hit. So just click on that, and it will open up here. Now, when it opens up, it has like tons and tons of, a million like tutorials and the things to do. Don't worry about any of that. What I would like you to do, I'm going to assume you have emails. So click sign in the top right corner up here and choose which email you want to sign in with. And there we go. Okay, so I'm signed in. So you can use Google or Clever, I saw is there, although I've never used Clever before. And if you don't have an email address right now, that's okay. I'll show you at the end how to save it without using an email address. But an email address is way easier because you can then use it on any computer you want. You don't have to like be specific, right? Here, what I want you to do is I want you to click on the orange square. It's like a plus sign in the center. It says new project, and then I'm gonna call mine virus. You can really call it whatever you want, and don't worry about it. We can always change the name of it later down the road. So the name doesn't really matter right now. You can see the names like already down here. We can alter that. Now, if you've never been in here before, you might recognize it kind of similar to another really popular program that MIT created called Scratch. This is kind of like Scratch, but it's much more geared towards game design. So it's got a lot of things in it, and you'll see as we start to build stuff out that are much easier to use in that regard. So over here, this is like the play menu window. It looks like actually an old Game Boy. I had the original one of these things actually. So I had to get it on my shelf over there somewhere. And it has, your regular controllers. This is your WASD on your keyboard, and your space bar is your A, and your B is E, I think. Yeah, E next to the W right there. Down on the bottom, you have your reset, so that resets it. Volume, obviously, and then this little square right here makes it like really large. So when you're ready to like, play, test it, you can push that button, and that will make it bigger or smaller like that. Down here, you have some download options. Now, if you click on these little 3 dots right here, you have a choose hardware option. This is pretty cool. In my district, we have 30 of these little guys right here. So we download our games onto that and we play like handheld games. There's like tons of options, and that's one of the cool things. You can actually build out arcade machines with it. I have 2 arcade machines I built with a laser cutter and stuff like that. But if you want to go down that road, this is all that cool stuff right here. So I'm not going to talk about that, but it's there. Coming into here, this is your editor. Obviously, your editor is pretty simple to use. You have your back button here if you make a mistake, your forward button. This is your zoom in. This is your zoom out. And you just click your left mouse button to move around. And yeah, just, like a basic editor that you would see in a lot of other gaming things. This is JavaScript right here. We're not touching JavaScript, and I think it has Python as well. So if you wanted to get into like other types of coding options, that's there. This is the assets button. We'll talk about that later. One really important button, and I want to talk about this right now, actually, before we even get started, is this button right here. This is your share button. If you click that button, it will take you to this part right here, and you click share project, and it will give you a link to your project. Now, if you click this copy button right here, and it turns green, that means you have copied your project, and you can toss your project into the chat for me. For troubleshooting code. And that's how we troubleshoot code. You basically copy the project, send it to me, and I will troubleshoot it for you. Then we can do it live generally. We can troubleshoot it live, and that way we all learn something. The code's always having problems in different areas, so it's a good thing to do. All right, so first things first, we need to create a character for our little adventure we're going to build out. So let's click on sprites. It's the one with the little paper airplane on the very top up here. So click that once, and right on the top you have your first piece of code. Drag it out. It says set my sprite. Drag it out and plunk it inside the on start right here. Nothing will happen. So what you need to do is come over to the gray square and click on the gray square, and it will like have this, this square right here. So this square, if you look down in the corner down here, the square is 16 by 16. Don't change the size of this yet. We'll change the size a little bit later on in our tutorials, but just be aware that this is 16 by 16 in size. It has these 2 numbers here as well. You'll notice that's 0, 0. This is your y-axis that goes up to 16, and this is your x-axis that goes up to 16 this way. So it's a whole grid deal that's working here. Now, what we want to do is we want to build out our character, which is going to be a virus. And if you've never drawn a virus before, what you can do is you can open up a new tab on the top and type in 16 x 16 pixel virus. There it is, virus pixel. And I click on images. And yeah, there's like lots of options. Personally, I found this one is fairly useful for drawing stuff. So if you've never drawn a virus before in a 16 by 16 grid, there's one there too. I drew a virus in my class on Tuesday, and I did a horrible job. So I'm going to do a better job this time. So let's bring this up, and I'm going to draw the outsides of my virus first. I'm going to kind of like, I'm going to do this one a bit more kind of bent like that. It's like a bean a little bit. Okay, so if you make a mistake on your drawing, and you two are probably quite proficient with this already, there's a little eraser button right there that you can erase bits and pieces. Don't erase too many though, just erase the parts you don't need. And then I'm going to fill it in. So I'm going to use this green with this little paint bucket, and you can fill things in like that. Actually, I don't know if this is looking any better than my one last time. So I'm just going to put some like, I don't know what you call them, like tendrils or arms kind of coming off of it like that. This is a bit of a different style than my last one that I built on Tuesday, but let's see how I do here. Definitely not good at drawing viruses. So, okay, yeah. And then I'm just going to put some kind of gray like bits and pieces through it. Here like that. And let's see, I guess I could put some eyes on it. Why not? I'm going to go with an orange. So I'll put one here, and then I'll put one over here. I'm sure you two can draw much better than me. So yours will probably look much more artistic. But that is my basic kind of design for my virus. So I'll give you couple more minutes here to draw yours out. If you want to do a little bit of shading, sometimes you can You can shade on the side a little bit like that. Leave your background as like checkerboard. So don't color in the background because we will need that. Also on the bottom, asset name, down on the bottom here, just type in virus. So you can search that asset up later on when things get a little bit more complicated. I'm just going to erase one piece up here, and I think mine is pretty much. So I'm going to click done. And what you will notice is once it starts up, your virus will appear in the center of your screen, which is okay, but it's not really very useful. So let's get things moving around. So click on controller right here, and there is a block right here that says move my sprite with buttons. Nice and simple. That's what it does. If you put it in and you click on your screen here, you can now move your virus around. The problem is they will disappear off the edge of the screen. So that's really something we need to think about in a couple of our next steps. But anyway, we've got something moving. Be aware that you do have to click on here, or you can click this to make it like nice and large so you can see everything. Okay, so we've got our virus, we got it moving. We need to start thinking about, all right, well, we got to have like something, the virus wants to go into something, right? So let's develop like a head, like for a character. So come into scene right here. It has like a little pine tree on it. And then come down here, and there is this thing called tile maps right here. So tile maps is on the top. Grab it, pull it out, and put it like right on the bottom right there. And nothing, absolutely nothing will happen. What you need to do is click on the gray box, and inside the gray box, you have your tile maps. Now, your tile maps are, it looks exactly like the other one. It says 16 by 16 here. The difference between this and your other sprite creator is each one of these tiles is 16 by 16. So each one of these tiles is the same height and width of your character, which makes it a tile map. So what we want to do is we want to build out like a human head. Now we can't just draw a human head in here. It's going to be like way too small. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down to this 16 by 16 down on the very bottom. We're going to erase it, and we're going to type in 100 by 100, just like that. And that will give you a 100 by 100 grid, which is going to be a lot easier to work with than a tiny little 16 by 16 grid. You will notice that over on the side here, you have forest, you have aquatic, you have dungeon, and you have miscellaneous. Within these things, you also have little arrows on the bottom that you can push through and see what kind of pre-made tiles they have. Now, that's awesome and great, but that is not giving us any drawing tiles. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on My Tiles, which is the one on the left right here, and we're going to click the plus button, and then we're going to start by clicking on the black tile, which is the one on the bottom. We're going to click the paint bucket, and we're just going to fill this in with black, okay, just like that. So click Done. So you now have a black tile. Now, if you wanted to go in and edit this tile, you click on this little paper and pencil button, and you can go back in and you can change it. But we're good. We don't want to change it. Let's add another one. So click another one. Let's add a skin color, which would be kind of a pink, I guess. Click on the bucket tool and fill this in. There's our like pink color. What else could we do? We have to do the eyes. So let's do a white color. So we'll do a white one like that. And what else? An eye color. I'll just do like a blue for the eye color. Make sure I use the paint bucket tool. And for now, I think that's going to keep me pretty busy with my 4 colors right there. Okay, so make sure you have your 4 colors, your little palette ready to go. And once you have them all set up and done, then we're going to like draw the head. Now I'll draw the head first, and you can just see how I do it. And then you can do it how you want. So I'm going to kind of stop on the bottom, and I do this in one go. And my one I did on Tuesday was kind of weird. So I'm going to go up, leave a little bit of room at the top. Don't go right to the top because we have to have the top is where our virus is going to start. Come around. This is where I always mess up, the nose. So I'm going to do the nose. Actually, I think I did a not bad nose this time. And I'm going to do the mouth. So 1, just the lips there, 2, and I'm going to do the chin. Oh, I'm definitely getting better at this. And the neck is a bit thin. And then what you want to do is you want to pull across the bottom, and you want to connect the 2 bottom pieces. Okay, I actually did that reasonably well this time. Now, if you don't like a piece and you're like, I don't like how that part looks, click on your eraser. You can click the big erase tool, and you can erase pieces. You can see I'm erasing. I don't really like how that looks over there. So I'm going to redraw the edge right here. Now, if you want to get a little closer, you can just zoom in with your mouse, and you can hold down your space bar, and you can move around if you want to like refine and do any areas to look a little bit better. Okay. Now, it's very important that everything connects. For example, if you have an area right here, let's say I have a hole right here, you won't be able to fill in this head. What I mean by that is if we go to fill it in with this pink, and I'm going to use a paint bucket, it will fill everything in. So that is not what you want. You want to make sure it's airtight. I guess airtight is the word I'm going to use. So you'll see when it's airtight all the way around, and I choose the pink again, it fills the entire piece in, which is what we want. I'm going to zoom out, and it should look something like that. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, something like a head with a nose, with a mouth. And yeah, that's kind of our basic design. You can get as artistic as you want. I've seen some students do some like amazing art with this. Myself, I'm not much of an artist, so I'm just going to do the very basics. But with the art, you can spend as much time as you want, and art is a big part of a game, right? Once you've got this kind of basic design like laid out like this, you can work on the hair. Now the hair, it doesn't have to be black. I'm just going to do mine as black. Yours does not have to be black. It can be any color you like. I'm going to use the larger square on the top. And actually, yeah, I'm going to use that mid square. And then I'm just going to kind of draw the hair in. The mid square is nice for larger blocks. And you can see I'm just kind of, yeah, I'm just kind of throwing the hair on here with no specific design. Maybe I'll make the hair kind of long in the back. The back of the head is way too big though, but that's okay. Don't worry too much about it. We're actually going to put a cavern in here, like the back of the throat, and then we're going to have some like action going on in there. So even if you design your head pretty big in the back, that's okay. That gives you lots of room for later on when we're doing some more of the challenge design in here. So yeah, that's not bad. I think that's okay. And then I'm just going to go back to my little tiny pencil. I'm going to use the black again. I'm just going to draw an eye out. I should probably zoom in actually when I draw the eye out. Maybe I'll draw an eyebrow first. That might be better. So there's the eyebrow. And I'm just going to draw the eye underneath that the best I can. Not the best with eyes. So I'll do a blue in the center here, like that. And I'll do a little white around the edges, like that. Well, I guess it does have black. Let me use the pencil tool. Might have, I guess the center of the eye is black, and then it's kind of blue around it, isn't it? I didn't really do that very well. Okay, hold on one sec here. And there we go. I'm going to back out. It probably looks really weird. Yeah, it does look weird. It looks way too big. Oh, well, whatever. I never claimed to be an artist, but I think the basic idea comes across there. I'm sure what you two have done much better than me. Now that eye is a little low, so I'm going to use the marquee tool, which is this weird square eye. It kind of looks like a grid, and I can surround it like this, and then I can just move the eye up. You notice it does take some pink with it, but I can just fill that in with the paint bucket tool, and just, yeah, there we go. Yeah, a little better, not much better, but a little bit better. Yeah, I guess that's my character. This is going to be Tom. I'm going to give it a name. Give Tom a name. And yeah, that's just going to be like my head area. Now behind Tom is nothing. And that's the way we want it, because we're going to put like a background behind our character, and then use that to move up to what we want to do next. Now, one other thing we do need to do, and we may as well do this while we're in here, is we need to add walls. And walls are awesome. That's great. Walls are collisions, and they make it so your character doesn't fall through. If you were to put your character on the top of this head right now, and we put gravity on your character, they would fall right through the head and they'd hit the bottom. So what you want to do is zoom in, use the wall tool and the pencil, that's these two, and just kind of slowly go around and put they're collisions, right? They allow your character, when you bring them into the level, they have what's called a collider around them, and whatever that collider touches, the character doesn't go through it. So what we're doing right now is we're putting colliders around our the map, the tile map, so our character will not fall through the tile map. Now you don't have to be, one sec. Where is it? It's right here, Joel. So it's inside of the head, and it's this wall right here. It's kind of a reddish color. When you click it, it'll go red, and that means it's active. And click on the pencil tool, and then you're ready to rock. So I'm just going to go around the edges. If you make any mistakes, you can see I'm kind of making some mistakes here. It's not a big deal. You can always erase the mistakes after if you want with the eraser tool. So you can just erase walls. You just have to make sure you're on the wall and use the eraser tool. And those should work well like that. I'm going to come to the top up here. You want to put the wall up along the top of the head. If you don't put it exactly where it's supposed to be on some parts, like if I put a wall, let's say if I put a wall up here, that's not going to work very well because that's going to be an invisible wall that the character is going to hit, the virus is going to hit. So make sure when you're doing the wall, try and do it relatively close to where it's supposed to be. Try not to put like invisible wall pieces up. See, I just did one right there. Don't do that because it'll be a bit frustrating for the player when they come in to play your game. They'll be like, oh, why is that part? I can't go past that part. It'll just seem like there's something invisible there that they can't go by. So I'm just going down the back side here, and the walls do take a little bit. So Joel, you're having trouble finding it? Okay, let me redo this for you. So Joel, I click on my tile map, which is right here, and then right here is the wall. I'm just hovering over it right now on my screen. You got to click it, and it has to turn red. And when it turns red, that means you can use it. It has to be on the pencil tool, though. Okay. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, I'm going to come down the back of the head. And this part doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to make it so when the virus falls off the back anyway, the virus will die. We'll do like a game over for that. So this part doesn't have to be that great. Okay, and don't close off the bottom here. Yeah, don't close off the bottom here because we're going to put something down this way. Is it supposed to be orange? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's supposed to be orange. So wherever you put the orange, like this orange color, that is going to be a wall and your character won't fall through it. If you want, like I said, if you want to erase it, and you can see I'm just actually filling in some errors right here. You use the eraser tool and then just erase what you don't want. So if you have like extra pieces of wall, you can just erase them. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like if you have pieces hanging off and stuff like that, it's not a big deal. How are we doing? Do you have most of the head kind of cordoned off with the wall around it? I'm just going to back up from mine here for a second. Yeah, mine's looking pretty good. You don't have to put it around the eyes because we're not worried about the eyes. We're just worried about the edges of the head all the way around. Okay. So yeah, just tell me when you've got that done on the side. You can just say done wall or something like that. I'll come over to the side. Awesome. S is done. And Joel, how are you doing with the walls there? So as we're moving along here, and you're just kind of you've done your walls and you've added them all around the edges of your tile map's head. We're going to come back into my tiles right here. And what we need to create is what's called a spawn point because as it stands right now, our character, which will be the virus, will just spawn in midair. They'll spawn somewhere and they'll be useless. We won't be able to control where they are. So come into your my tiles, which is this one right here. Come down to the bottom and you can see we have our 4 colors here. I want you to add a spawn block. So this is easy. Just click the plus. Choose a color you like. I'm going to choose red. You can choose any color you like. And inside of the color you choose, do a big S. So just S. The S doesn't have to look very nice because it's just gonna it's not gonna be a big deal. I'm gonna show you how to change this later. So just write an S down, and on it says my tile on the bottom. Type in spawn. So this is going to be our block where our character spawn. Mine looks more like a 5 than an S, but whatever, doesn't really matter. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you're on the S. So you click on the S right here. Make sure the pencil tool is on. So you can see I'm not on the wall tool anymore. I'm on the S right here. Pencil tool's on, and I want you to put one S on the very top of the head, like that. So right there on the top of the head. So we have all of our walls all the way around our character or around our tile map, and then we have an S right on the very top right there. That's going to be our setup for our start of our story. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put our character on the spawn block, because right now, if you look at our character, they're like in the middle of the air. But before we do that, let's put a background, because their background is black right now, which is a bit boring. So come down to, trying to remember, background is under scene. So it's the one with a pine tree on it. And then right here, there it's it's 1, 2, 3, 4 from the top, and it says set background image to blank. It's this one right here. Drag it out, put it in here, and this part's kind of fun. You click on the gray box, and you click on gallery. It's right up here, and you can change the background. These are some like option backgrounds that you can choose. So I'm going to choose maybe like my character's like outside in a forest. You can mess around with this a little bit if you want. Like you can change the background colors. So I can make that like an orange sky, like it's kind of nighttime. I could make those mountains a bit more gray in the back. Anyway, you can mess around with this a bit. I wouldn't suggest messing around with it too much, but you can mess around with the background. Now, if I click done, it'll be, I'll click this plus sign. And you'll see now when my character moves, there is a background. We still got a problem. Our character still leaves the screen because actually we don't have a camera on our character yet. But let's solve that problem now. So I've got my character. I can move my character with the buttons. I've got a tile map, which has got that head on it. I've got a background image. So I've got 4 pieces of code right here. The 5th piece of code that I'm going to toss in here is the camera code. And that's going to allow us to like move around, and the camera is going to follow our character. Right now, you'll notice the camera is set and it stays in one place, but our character moves. So to do that, you can just click on search on the top. And this is actually a really handy way to find things that you want. You type in camera, and it has like everything that has camera in it. And some of them are like not useful for us. But the one we want is camera follow sprite, my sprite. And this will make the camera follow your character around. So grab it out. Now, don't put it on the top. And the reason you don't want to put it up here is because if you put it up here, your character hasn't been created yet. So you want to make sure that the camera comes out and it goes below your character. Now, you'll notice here when I try and pull it out, everything sticks together, which is kind of annoying. So if I hold down Control on my keyboard, I can pull things out, and I can pull them out one at a time, which is nice. So let's check this out. Let's see if this works. I'm going to try and move around now. Oh, I think, yeah, it's not going to, there it is. Oh, okay. So there we go. I just had to go to the right more. You can see I can kind of move around, and I can float around my level. I can fly around it, which is not really what we want. And there's my spawn block. Obviously, I'm not spawning on there. But I've got my character at least kind of moving around my level, which is, I don't know, it's kind of a start, but it's not really what we want. I'll make my code a little bit bigger here so you can see it. Okay, so let's put our character to start on the spawn block. So let's go into here. And what I want you to do is I want you to, on the search menu, which is on the top, I want you to type in random. Random. And under random, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th one down here says place my sprite on top of random checkerboard. So this one right here, grab this block and place it on the bottom. It's really important that you place this block below your tile map because in your tile map is where we create the spawn block. And we want to make sure that the spawn block, which is my S right here, is below my tile map. If you put it above it, it won't work. So check it out. Look, my character starts on my spawn block rather than in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, I mean, my character's still weird. It's still moving around and there's no gravity or anything, but at least I'm starting where I'm supposed to start in my level, which is a level up from where we were before. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of code right here. And we've got our character starting where we want them to start. We've got our background and we've got our face. I think I'm going to play with my background a little bit here. So I'm actually going to make my trees purple. And I'm going to put a sun setting over here. So let's, I could do it maybe right about here. I'm just in the background, by the way. I'm just kind of working in my background to make it a little bit, just customize it a bit. You can always customize things and make them a little bit nicer when you have the time. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the sun in here, fill it in. And ooh, I didn't do an awesome job of that. Gotta zoom in, get those last little pieces right there, and kind of make like some rays coming out of it. One, not sure how many rays the sun is supposed to have when it's setting, but yeah, it's not bad. Okay, all right, I'm gonna come back now. There is no spawn block even if I do the code, and can only go left and right. Okay, so S, can you toss yours? Can you copy yours and toss it into the chat here one more time, and we'll take another look at yours? Something seems to be a bit funky, and we'll sort it out. Okay, now in here, this is your character. Now I don't see a spawn block on your character here. So what we're gonna do, and you probably want to draw a nose on him because we have to like jump onto the nose. So what I'm gonna do real quick with yours is I am going to. How did you get orange? I don't see orange in your thing. Well, you do have a spawn block. Okay. And I'm just gonna draw a nose real quick, like that. And I'm just gonna draw the lips real quick and the chin, okay? Because we will need those for our next part. And I'm just gonna do a neck down here. Now, don't mind me, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a great artist. But I'm just gonna add a little bit onto yours, okay? And then what we do need to do as well, S, is we need to add the although you do have the you already have the things around. Oh, is it Pac-Man? Oh, perfect. Okay, we do need to add a nose because they need to jump off of it actually. So let me just I'm just gonna do this real quick for you just to get you caught up, and it will be this it'll be this orange color, but um, I didn't do a great job on that. Let me give you 1 second here. I don't think I did the lips very well. The chin. Okay, let's just go down here, and I'm just going to erase some of these pieces here using, actually, I'm going to use a bigger eraser to do that. Okay, so that should be good. And I'm just going to fill in the yellow here with the rest of pieces. So yellow, yellow. There we go. Okay, that'll be good for now. Okay, so what we want to do here now, S, is we want to put the spawn block, which is this S right here, and I don't see it. We want to put it on the very top. How do you share your code? Just a sec, Joel, and I'll show you in a sec, okay? I just want to show S here how we do this. So use your pencil and then just put your one spawn block on the very top of the head right here. So right there where it says S, it's a great S, by the way. And what you're going to do now is here, I think everything is good. So see here, we've got our character and he's going right on the spawn block, and now you're exactly where we're supposed to be. So S, everything should be good in your code. I'm going to share this back with you. I'm going to click share project. Now, back to you, Joel. So this is yours, and I'm going to go into your code, and okay, everything looks pretty good. What you do need, Joel, is an S block, a spawn block, okay? So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on the paint bucket, and I'm going to put the S in, okay, for you. I'm going to click done. I'm going to put the S at the very top of the head. I'm going to put it right there. And then you're going to place my sprite. Now this says virus sprite right here. So make sure this says virus sprite as well. You're going to place it on top of the S. And then Joel, you're all caught up now. Okay, so let me close yours up here, Joel, and I'm going to go back into mine. So let's add gravity because currently we don't have any gravity on our character. So to do that, first things first, let's click on the plus sign next to move my sprite with buttons. It's right here. And you'll see my VX is 100 and my VY is 100. Now, we don't want our character moving on the VY. VY is up and down. So we don't want our character moving up and down. We only want them moving left and right. So I want you to dump the VY. Oops. Type in 0. So put your VY at 0. So VX is 100 and VY is 0. You can change the VX to like 90 or 110 or however fast you want your character to move, but your VY has to be 0. Now, if you come over here, you'll notice my character cannot, if you push W and S, my character cannot go up or down anymore.
My character isn't spawning.
Let's just check here. I'll grab it and I'll see if there's maybe something we had missed there. And I'm in yours right now, Joel. So let's see what's going on. Okay, so they're kind of in the air. Let's see here. What did I do wrong? Virus sprite, move virus sprite with buttons, set tile map, set background image 2, place virus sprite on top of random S. Oh, the camera's not following your character. You don't have a camera, Joel. So
Uh,
what you need to do is you click on scene, and you can do this on yours right now, okay? Come down to where it says camera follow sprite, my sprite, and you have to put that in, okay? And once you put that in, that will, the camera will follow the sprite and, oh, sorry, virus sprite is the name of it, right? Virus
yeah.
sprite?
Oh yeah, it's working now.
Cool. All right. So that, there we go.
Yeah,
That
this
should
guy
probably.
has no gravity.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. That's all good. We haven't done gravity yet. We're just about to do it right now.
it's just flying around.
Yeah. You'll just fly around until we had the gravity in for sure. All right, so let's add the gravity in. So to do that, it's pretty easy actually. Just click on sprites, which is the paper airplane one, and you come down here, and there's a little thing that says under physics right here. There's a thing that says change my sprite x by 0. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to say change. So drag it out, put it on the bottom, and rather than change my sprite x, which is going to be really weird, it's like not going to do anything. We want to change my sprite's AY acceleration, and I'll just hover over it for a second so you both can see that. You have to choose AY acceleration. It's really important. It's basically gravity. So when you change that to, let's see, what should we put it at? Let's try I don't know, let's try 400 and see what kind of gravity we get. 400. Let's see if we get gravity on that. So I'm going to make this big. I'm going to walk to the left. And yeah, my gravity's working pretty well. I can't jump, but it's okay. We're gonna figure that out in a minute. But I can fall, which is basically what we want. We'll hit the bottom. You'll fall to the very bottom after a while, and you can actually walk over to the neck. There should be a neck here somewhere. There it is. And oh, I can walk underneath the neck, which is not really what I want. The code S is called, if I click on sprites and I come down, it's called change my sprite x by 0. It's under the paper airplane and it's under the physics heading right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fourth one down under physics. And it is, sorry, I'll bring it out. It is, if I click here, it's called the AY acceleration, or acceleration Y is the other name for it. Level. You can change this to higher gravity if you want it to fall. If you want your character to fall faster, like do 500, 600, 700 gravity, and they'll fall down a lot faster. You'll have to mess around with your jumping a little bit, but your gravity will be quite high to start with. Be like being on a different planet, right? But you can always mess with the gravity if you want. If you want your character to go the opposite way, I'm just going to show you what this looks like. If I put in if I do minus 400, watch this. It'll like flip the gravity. Should flip it, and my character flips to the roof, which is certainly not what we want. But just so you know, that's how you would flip your gravity. I'm going to put mine at 400 because that seems pretty reasonable. Okay, so we've got, let's see, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 blocks of code. Let's bump out. I'm going to click the minus sign, and that's going to bump my code out a little bit so I have a little bit more room. And on the right, over in this area right here, I'm going to build out my jumping. Now, the jumping's a little bit more complicated, but we'll walk through it step by step and make sure we get that right, because the jumping is pretty important for, well, making any game, right? So to do that, let's come back to our controller, which is right below sprites. We've used this, I think we've only used it once. You'll notice below move sprite, there is another block and it says on a button pressed. It looks like a kind of a mouth. If you pull that out, just put it over here for now, and I'll zoom in on it so you can see it a little bit better. So A button pressed, A is basically your space bar, right? So right now it's not doing anything. On A button pressed, nothing happens. So let's get some code in there. So let's come over to the logic button, which is right below loops. We have not used this code yet, so click on it. And we're going to use what's called a conditional. A conditional is basically, it says if something is true, then make something happen. If something is false, then make something else happen. It's a very, very useful piece of code that we can use a lot in computer science when we're building out all kinds of different things, not just games, but electronics and stuff like that too. So drag it out, and you want to just put it inside the mouth like that. Now you'll notice it has like a spiky kind of thing that says true in it. And if you click it, it says true or false. So what we're going to do is we're going to add something in here, okay? So we're going to come back to the logic tab, which is what we used just a second ago. and I want you to come down and under here. I'll move this over a bit so you can see this better. Under here, if I come down, there's something called comparison blocks. And you'll notice that comparison blocks have the same spiky brackets that these have on either end, okay? Which is really handy. So we're going to take the comparison block out and we're going to put it inside the true block. So now this thing says if 0 equals 0. So what we're going to do next is we're going to click on sprites, which is right here, the paper airplane one. And I want you to come down, and I want you to come down under physics, which is the one we've been using a little bit to build our gravity out. And you'll notice there's kind of a rounded one right here. It looks like a pill kind of, and it says my sprite X. It's this one right here. Pull it out and put it inside the 0. It should like
Oh,
snap that weird little
variables? Is that variables or
no, watch
right?
closely, Joel, what I do here. So click on sprites right here where it says sprites
Mm-hmm.
and come down to where it says physics right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then down here it says my sprite X. It's like the one that looks like a pill.
See it.
Okay, take it out and put it inside the 0. So it should snap into the 0 right there. Now we're going to say now we're not going to do my sprites X. We're going to do something a little different. So we're going to say my sprites VY velocity, which is this one right here. So not AY acceleration. Do not choose that one. Choose VY velocity. Okay. So I'm basically saying if my sprite's VY velocity is 0, the velocity is the movement of the sprite. So it's saying basically, well, if my sprite's not moving, then we need to do something about it. So what we're gonna do is we're going to push the sprite up in the air, like using a little bit of code, okay? So once you've got that all in there, ready to go, come over again to your paper airplane, which is this one right here, and come down and come back down to that change block. We've used this once already. Okay, this is the one we use to make our gravity. So pull it out again, put it inside here, and it says change my sprite X by 0. But this time, we're going to say change my sprite's VY velocity, which is the same as this. We're going to change it by negative 200. And it might sound kind of weird, but how it works is this screen right here, Y is up and down, right? So Y starts at 0 and goes up to like 250 this way. It goes this way. So 0 is here, 250 is here. So we're basically saying if my sprite's not moving in the VY direction, up and down, so if they're not moving and I press the A button, then my sprite will move, but they'll move up, they'll move like up, like a negative direction going this way, because this is 0 and this is 250. They'll like push up. So give it a try. I know it sounds a bit strange the way that it's built, but your character should now jump. Now, if you don't like how high your character is jumping, if you're like, this is like way too way too low or way too high, you can alter this number here. Personally, I like negative 200 for my character, but try and put in like negative 500. Let's try negative 400. I'm going to double the jumping velocity. So let's see what that does. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to come a bit farther down. Let's see what this does. So I can jump like stupid high. Look at my character like goes way up in the air. I don't like that because I think it's way too springy. So I'm going to go back to I think my negative 200 was a bit more realistic. But you two can put in any number you want. You can play around with it. And actually we can alter that number depending on what the character picks up. We can talk about that a bit later. I'm going to back out a little bit. And one thing I do want to talk about is if you wanted to add a little effect to your character jumping, like have a kind of a bit of a sparkling effect or something like that, which is a bit fun. You can click on sprites, and where is it? It's under effects, actually. That's easy to remember. Under effects right here, you can do an effect on the character when they move. So I can grab this My Sprite Start Spray effect. So you can bring it in, put it underneath, and you can add like, there's about like, no, there must be like 20 effects there. You can do like a bubble effect, and you can choose the amount of time that effect happens for. So let's see if that actually works for mine. So when I jump, there's little kind of bubble effects that come out of my character, which is kind of cool because I think it adds a little bit of animation into the movement. My character is actually not animated right now, and we're going to do that in a little bit. Yeah, we got our very, very basics kind of set out here. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of text because, a story without text is a bit dull. So if you come over to game, the one with the purple circle on it, you can click it. And if you come all the way to the bottom, there is something called a show long text block with and it says show long text in a blank. So if you pull that out, you can put it right at the top of your code, and you can add a little text in before your story starts. So you can be like, this looks like an interesting place to invade. I don't know. You can write whatever you want, right? But you'll notice when I come over here to my game design, it pops up the text right here on the bottom. And I press the space bar, it will start my game. So it's kind of a cool way to just, you can add intro screens and you can get much more complicated than this, but it's kind of a neat way to add in a little bit of text at the start of your game before, you get started on working on everything. I like my purple trees. They look kind of cool. And my sun too. So yeah, go ahead, add some text in there. So once you have those nice basic
Is the
components,
text?
yep.
Oh, is it long text? Where is it?
Yeah, it's right here. It's under game and it's at the very bottom, Joel. It'll put it in different places depending on what you choose there. So if you want it in the center of your screen, just choose center, I guess. Now that would fire it in the center. Let's see what it does here. Yeah, so it puts it in the center like that. It's up to you. Okay, so let's add in something a little bit extra. Let's add in some signs. So when you overlap a sign, maybe the text says something like it gives you a warning of what's coming ahead. Because I think we're going to do a little challenge here in a minute, and we've got to make sure that the virus is ready for that. So to do that, I want to show you something really quick, though, before we go into that part. If you right-click anywhere on your grid, you can add what's called a comment. It says add comment at the top here. If you click it, it adds like a little piece of paper. And the reason why these are cool is because you can add in, I always add comments above my code so I know what it does. So I'm going to type in this is my start code. So that means any code down here is my start code, and I can minimize it. I can put it up here, and I can open this up anytime, and I can be like, oh yeah, this code I built down here on the bottom, this is all my start code. And then I can take another one, I can right click here, add another comment, and I can type in jump code. So I know that the code below this little comment is all my jump code. Because what starts to happen, and you can see this is already starting to happen to us, is we have two pieces of code. As your game gets larger, you get more and more and more. And actually, it starts to get so big that you're like, I don't know what's going on. It's too much code. So making sure you label your code on the top is a great way to keep track of what your code does. And you can open it up and you can always put more information in that. So I'm going to offer that suggestion to you right now. And I suggest that you two follow that. And it's a good practice to keep your code in order. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've got my code notes on the top there. They're looking good. I'm going to come over to another blank area over in this way. I personally like to do my code sequentially, which means I kind of move from left to right. So I've got my start code, I've got my jump code, and now I'm going to build out an interaction code, which is really powerful, and you'll see how this works. So let's go back into our character, which is our person right here. Yeah, Tom. And I'm going to zoom in on the top of Tom's head. So go into the top of your character, zoom in on their head. And what I want you to do is click on My Tiles, and I want you to click the plus sign, and I want you to create a sign. Now, the sign, you've probably both played Minecraft a lot, can just, look like a regular sign. Actually, this is a good chance to use the square tool. This is the rectangle tool. So you can just drag it, and you can pull it out, and it'll make like a perfect rectangle for you. You can do a perfect rectangle down here too. And then you can fill it. I'm going to fill this with like a brown color. And then what else am I going to do? I'll put I'll do some gray, and I'll put some like gray writing. You know what? I'm going to put like a question mark on it. That's going to be what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do like a really simple question mark. Although I'm not going to, let's see if I can do this right. Question mark, come on. Question mark. Ooh, I'm not doing a very good question mark. That's an awful question mark. It's getting worse by the second, actually. Why can't I do a question mark? Got to do this a little bit better. I think maybe like that. And then I'm going to remove that top piece with a brown. So yeah, that's not a bad question mark. I think I did that okay. I'm trying to save my question mark. I'm going to move it over a bit. No, I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, and I'm just gonna put some. I'm just gonna add a little bit of grays kind of around the corners, just so I can know this is my question mark. And I'm gonna type in the bottom sign 1 because we're gonna do multiple signs. So I want to make sure that this is my first sign. So build your sign out however you like. You can add whatever little pieces into it to kind of pretty it up. And then I'm going to place my sign right here before I go down the nose, because we'll put our challenge, or the thing we're going to have as kind of our challenge, we'll put it down here a bit. So put the signage somewhere around here. Don't put 2 or 3, just put 1. We'll start with 1, then I'll show you how to use it, and then we can add more in when we're ready to go. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to create what's called an overlap event. And an overlap event means that when your character overlaps something on the tile map, an event happens. It's kind of like a collision, or I guess it'd be like a volume box in a 3D program, but it's kind of like a collision, but an invisible collision, which means that you don't have a wall on anything. It just means when you touch it, something occurs. And we have a chunk of code that can do that. So this chunk of code we're going to look at is really handy because it creates interactive events in your program, which are basically what a lot of gaming is, right? So let's see here. I'm going to go to the scene button, which is the one with the tree on it. And then I'd like you both to come down to the spot that says tile maps. And if you remember, this is where we created our tile map. It says set tile map to tile map blank. Now, what you want to do is come down to the third one. It says on sprite of kind player overlaps checkerboard at location. It's this one right here. I know it sounds really long, but it's actually a fairly simple piece of code. So grab it, pull it out, and just put it right next to your on button A pressed. So I'm going to come over, and you'll see this code sits by itself. It doesn't have any other code that wraps around it or anything like that, which means it's generally a pretty powerful piece of code. So we're going to say on sprite of kind player, and you're like, who's that? Who's the sprite of kind player? Well, the player, if you look over here, it says set my sprite to sprite of kind player. You can choose what you want your character to be. So player is what it chooses naturally. And when the player overlaps, and we're going to choose our sign. So we're going to say when the player overlaps the sign at wherever the sign is, that's the location, we're going to have something happen. Okay. And what we're going to have happen is we are going to get the sign to say something. Now to do this, we're going to use a bit of a different technique. Okay. So we're going to try something new here. So come down, once you've got this piece of code set up and you have the sign in it, come down to the bottom down here where it says extensions and the plus, which is right on the bottom underneath the math, the purple math calculator symbol. And when you come into here, you'll notice it has all these like extensions. It actually has multiplayer and scaling, and you'll come down, and I want you to come all the way to the bottom, and there's tons and tons of stuff. And I think it's this one right here. It's called Arcade Story, and it kind of has a happy face and a sad face on it. So click it, give it a second to kind of warm up, and you'll notice that there is now a book underneath the math symbol right here. So it just says story, and it has a little picture of a brown book right here. So once you click on it, you'll notice a little book appears, and it looks like this, and it says story. Okay. What I want you to do is click on the book, come over to your new code, your overlap block, which is right here, the one we built out. Click on your code, and I want you to come all the way down, and inside the story library, there's something called the cutscene, and inside cutscene, there is a piece of code that says start cutscene. It's right here. It looks like a little mouth. Pull it out and put it inside of your code block. So this is basically like a movie cut. It like cuts the scene to something totally different. And kind of it talks actually. So once you've got the start cutscene block in there, you notice it has it's like a mouth, so you can put something inside of it. So go back into your story and grab the one from the second from the top that says Sprite Say with like a smiley face on it. Now, Joel, yours is going to say virus something. Yours didn't say Sprite. Yours said
Virus Sprite.
yeah. So make sure this says virus Sprite, and then
Okay, let's see.
we're going to say
Start
welcome.
cutscene.
Yeah, to
And
your
put him in there.
first
And
challenge.
then Sprite say happy face.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say welcome to your first challenge. And you can do the text color. So it can be like any color you want. I'm going to go with orange. And you can do a back color on it too. I'm going to do like oh gosh, I don't even know, like a turquoise back, maybe a green. I'm going to do a green back color on it. Now, this code is almost perfect, except for the problem is when we overlap this thing right here, we get stuck because you overlap it again and again and again, and the code runs again and again and again. It won't stop. We need to find a way to remove the sign or replace the sign with something else. So to replace the sign with something else, we need to use what's called a set block. So first of all, before we put that block in, let's come back to our start code right here, which is right.
There's a lot of codes.
Yeah, there is. Well, it's going to get a lot more as we move along. So let's click on tile map. And this is our character, obviously, that we've been working hard on. Come into my tiles, and here's all of our tiles. And you remember, here's our sign tile right here, that nice one we made. So click on your sign tile. And what I want you to do is, yes, okay, so there's the copy button right here. It looks like two pieces of paper, and click it, and it will make a copy of your sign. You can see there's sign, and then this one looks exactly like your sign. So the second one, this is your first sign. This is your original sign. This second sign, what I want you to do is click on the edit button, which is the pen and the paper right here. So I'll say that one more time. This is your original sign. This is your copy sign. So click on the copy. And what you want to do is you want to type in sign one replace. So this is going to be the sign one replacement sign. And what you want to do, what you can do here to make it so you know what it is I actually like to change the color a bit. So I'm going to change the question mark to a red question mark instead of a yellow question mark. So I'll say that one more time. You want to rename it to sign one replace, because this is going to replace our original sign. And then I always like to change a color on it just so I know it's changed.
When we touch the sign, we want whatever the text we put in to happen.
Yeah, we want the text to happen, but we also want to make the sign change to the sign replacement sign, Joel, because you can't keep overlapping something. It might crash the program.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just the way.
I'm just saying. Oh wait, it's constantly repeating.
Yeah, exactly, right? So watch. I'll run it without the text that we're trying to do right now. And I think, Joel, you're already experiencing this, right? So if you go into it and you touch the sign, it'll just it won't stop. It'll say this again and again and again. And look at, see? It just keeps saying it, which is really annoying. So what we want to do is, I got to stop that. Refresh. What we want to do is we want to replace this sign. So to do that, remember I said we're going to use what's called a set block, right? So come up to search a set block. I'll show you how to find it. Type in set. Actually, is it going to show me? Maybe set at. Try set at. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we need to type in set at, and it's this one right here. And it's a weird block, but it's pretty powerful. It allows you to replace things. So set space at, and it's the third one down.
There.
Did you find it?
I put it in the code.
Okay. Put it in here. So put it on the top.
On the very top.
Yeah. So set your sign one replace. So there's my original sign. You'll notice it's called sign one, and this one is called sign one replace. So put your sign one replace, which is my little red one right here. And here's the cool part. At the same location, grab the location at the same location as the original sign. I'll do that one more time in case you missed it. Grab location and put it in here. Now what happens, and I'll show you this code, when you come over to the sign and you touch it, it will change, and it will only run once. See that? Because this sign is not the same sign. It's like a replacement sign. So this code is, I'm gonna actually note this code. So I'm gonna add a comment, and I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna call it sign challenge. That should be fine for now because we're gonna build multiple signs out. So sign challenge, and then now I have 3 notes on my code, and they're all kind of set up the way I want them. Okay, yeah, and that's it for now. You can play around and you can build some more stuff and add some details to your character and stuff before we come back next week for our second session, and we'll pick up the pace and we'll start to look at building some challenges and traps out. Maybe look at building some bosses and stuff like that. So how